Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the 11-game NBA main slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you guys are interested in Thursday Night Football, I'll have a video up tomorrow breaking down that Thursday Night Football showdown slate. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer a few different packages: NBA, NFL, esports, more info down below. And then I would like to thank the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. I was checking out the NBA board, not up yet, but usually it's up within the hour or so. It's up usually later at night, and then fantasy score stuff early tomorrow. But yeah, it's a player prop site where you can take over under on fantasy points. They do have some college basketball stuff, so I'll use college basketball for example. Right, you can take over under on fantasy points, or you can take over under on straight up points, rebounds, assists. You can mix and match sports too. So if you guys want to try out Prize Picks, make sure to sign up and use my code DKDFS. It's DKDFS. It's all one word, and you'll get a 100% match up to $100. So if you deposit, use my code $100, you get a free $100 to play with on the site. And finally, I want to thank you guys again for all coming out and checking out the live stream day. We had about 200 concurrent viewers. Really appreciate all the support. And obviously to you guys returning and watching these videos every single day. The easiest way to support me is just to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'll be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow, so make sure to check that one out. And let's try to aim for 150 likes on this video, guys. Okay, so before we talk about players and their prices for this 11-game slate, let's look back lineup here from tonight. So tonight, stack the late game. Stack the late game. Avoided the first game, blowout. Avoided the second game, blowout. So I have a low-owned DeJounte Murray. He went for 60 fantasy points. I have a low-owned Paul George. He smashed. I have a low-owned Thad Young. He did basically all but one in the late game. Now, I'm looking really good, right? Clippers TV announcer said, entering the second half, that they were told before the game that Batum would be on a minutes restriction to clear up some bumps and bruises he has endured over the last few games. Some bumps and bruises. So, maybe you first of all, thanks for that information, Ty Lue. Thank you. Thank you for releasing that before. I really do appreciate it, my man. I really do appreciate it. Second, he's been playing like 35 minutes a game, okay? So how many minutes he plays tonight? Like 10, 15 minutes. Loses 20-plus minutes because of this, and we don't get this news before. So I mean, I hate to be that guy, but what else? What else can happen to me? I have the perfect stack in the late game, low on DeJounte Murray, everything's looking great, and I get screwed by this random, ejection, and then this, guys. What more? What more, right? What did I do to the DFS gods? I don't know. So, yeah, this is my lineup. Again, I basically avoided the first two games. Only guys I had were Blake Griffin, Draymond Green. Blake Griffin was a little bit of a letdown, but I knew it was looking good because, KD was the chalk in this tournament. He was a massive bust. I got very lucky that game blew out, and KD had the floor games. I was super nervous fading him. But, yeah, I went to stack the late games. I knew it would come at low ownership. DeJounte Murray, 15% in this one. Smash. Luke Kennard was solid for value. Paul George, great at low ownership. Bledsoe was solid. Thad Young was good low ownership. 15 minutes. And mind you, okay, there was no Terrence Mann. There was no Justice Winslow. Last game, 35 minutes for Batum. This game, again, was a blowout. Throw it out the window. 37 minutes here. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get around 35 minutes, maybe more, because the Clippers have no one. They have no one. This is looking great for me. Nah. Bumps and bruises, right? He's got a few bumps, a few bruises. Let's play him 15 minutes and not give anyone notice about that. I would have won $1,000 plus if Nick Batum played his normal minutes. 239, 225. 4. Thunderdome. Nick Batum, 40+% owned. No surprise, right? Just don't get news by Ty Lue. Patty Mills, 71%. Not surprised by that. Bledsoe, 85%. KD, 85%. I was a little bit surprised, 85% KD. 57% Draymond Green. Gobert had a good game, but that was a blowout. Reggie was pretty popular. He started very slow, but got there. This was the winning lineup. Bledsoe, Derek White, Kennard, Green, Gobert, Jackson, Paul George, and Zubac. So, yeah, pretty down right now, guys. Like, I try to keep positive and make fun of myself, but it's just like ejection, and then this, where I would have won like $1,000 plus if I had the perfect stack. All right, let's talk about this slate, and let's hope for, okay, no ejections, no back-to-back ejections, or no, after lock we get news of guys having a few bumps and bruises and then playing, 20-plus minutes less than they usually do. No more of that stuff. I'm good, right? No more picnics, too. If you get preseason, no picnics. No picnics, no bumps, no bruises, no ejections. All right, Washington-Charlotte's the first game. I basically have no interest in this team. Beal's coming back. They're priced up from Beal when Beal's out. 9.8K for Beal. You can always play him in tournaments, but he's just too pricey for me to consider an 11-game slate. Montrez is too pricey. Gafford's only 4.4K. For tournaments, that's fine. The minutes have actually been ticking up on him a little bit. He's a good point per minute guy, but he's always in foul trouble. And then that's really it. I don't have a ton of interest in this Washington team. On the Charlotte side, not much interest here either. LaMelo Ball at almost 11K. I mean, I like LaMelo, but I'm not paying almost 11K for him. Bridges is priced right. Rozier and Hayward, you can always take shots on them in tournaments, but they don't really stand out. The guy that I actually probably like the best, as weird as it sounds, is Mason Plumlee. Without PJ Washington, 35, 27, 29, 29 minutes. He's playing close to 30 minutes. He hasn't been as productive this season, but he's a good rebounder. So at sub 5K, I think he's a relatively safe value play. All right, Indiana and Detroit. So Domantas Sabonis at 9.2K. This is kind of weird. So he was playing the minutes are way down on him. There's a couple games that are foul trouble, but yeah, 29, 33, 31, 30, and then he comes out and plays 40 minutes against the Knicks. So how many minutes am I getting from Sabonis here? That's my question. So again, Carlisle's been. It's Rick Carlisle. I hate that guy as well. But, Sabonis in play. If he plays 40 minutes again, obviously he looks good. I think Brogdon probably looks the best, though, at 8.4. He's continually playing 35-plus minutes. He's a guy that's stuffed in the stat sheet, and it's a good matchup. The only real concern is maybe blowout, but, it's not like the Pacers have been super dominant this year. I'm probably not going to go to LeVert. Miles Turner, does have some upside. But at almost 7K, I'm probably not going to pay that price for him either. And that's really it for the Pacers. Moving on to the Pistons. So, Cade Cunningham. Here's another story for you. I play him here. I play him here. I play him here. Finally fade. But yeah, 6.1K. He is probably going to play mid-30s minutes. He played 35 minutes last game, and that game was a blowout too. So I think he's a solid option in the mid-range. He played really well last game. Grant Sadiq Bey, never really get to. Stewart's at a price point where he's always in foul trouble, so I just don't want to it's not worth it at that price point, especially an 11-game slate. Killian Hayes, he's been really bad, but he's had a couple big games. If you want to take a shot on him for tournaments, you can, but the floor is very, very low. Boston and Atlanta, so still no Jaylen Brown. I think Jason Tatum is a relatively safe option at the top. I don't love the price point, but he's going to play 35-plus minutes and be the clear go-to guy. Now, keep an eye on Robert Williams. He's currently questionable. If he can't go, I think Al Horford makes for a decent option. He'll play more at the center position. It's not like he's super cheap, but like he would get a pretty big boost if he does play the 5. And I would think they would just shift him down to the 5. And then Schroeder at 6.5K. It's a revenge game narrative. He's continuing to play like 35-plus minutes. I think he's a fair play, but I don't love the price either. And then finally, Josh Richardson, 3.3K. He's playing 25 to 30 minutes off the bench. He's super, super cheap. So for salary relief, sure, he's viable. On the Atlanta side, Trae Young's always in play for me for tournaments. The ceiling's there, but also a pretty low floor as well. So never really a cash game play. Just like Steph Curry, he's always a good tournament play. John Collins at 7.3K. In a competitive game, I think he plays 35-ish minutes, but he's prone to foul trouble. Capella at 7.2 had a really big game last game. Those minutes are slowly ticking up on him, 35, 32, 34, 34. So I think Capella actually makes for a decent play at that price point. And then Bogdanovich, Herter are both questionable. If they both can't go, then probably Cam Reddish gets inserted the starting lineup. If he does, I think he makes for solid value. So just monitor the Hawks news. Moving on to Cleveland and Brooklyn. Well, Cleveland's pretty thin. No Allen, no Mobley, no Sexton, no Markkanen. But it looks like Kevin Love's going to be back. They said could make his return. We'll see if he's going to be limited or not, but they don't really have a ton of other options. So if Kevin Love starts, there's no limitations. He looks great. The two guards in Garland and Rubio also look good, right? They're just they're going to have to do a lot for this offense. I probably have a lean to Rubio over Garland. He's been more productive, and he started last game, played 37 minutes. So if Rubio starts, again, I like him. I think Chetty Osman's a good value just because, who is going to play minutes for this team, right? He's been playing close to 30 minutes a game. He had a really big game last game. He's only 4K. I think he looks good. And then if they are going to limit Kevin Love's minutes, they don't really have any other bigs, guys. So I think you could at least make the argument for Taco season, Taco fall. He played 8 minutes last game. I think he would be at least viable, right? And then you have Dean Wade, who played 35 minutes and had 10 fantasy points. How is that even possible? He's only 3.2K. He'll play big minutes again, most likely. But, yeah, so monitor the Kevin Love news. That's the big one for the Cavs. Moving on to Brooklyn. So obviously there's some blowout risk here. Harden and Durant are just too pricey for me to go there. Aldridge played very limited minutes tonight. I was worried about his minutes against a small ball team. He's only 5K, or he's 5K. That's not the best price point. Two value plays that are interesting here, with Joe Harris once again out of Bruce Brown and Patty Mills. They both played massive minutes. Patty Mills played 30-plus minutes, and Bruce Brown played 27, and that was in a blowout. So I think those two make for decent value plays at their respective price points. I'm just going to say, though, you can never fully trust Steve Nash. That's all I will say. You can never fully trust his bench rotation, or just his rotation in general outside of KD and Harden. The Pelicans going up against the Heat. There's really not much here. JV overpriced, Ingram overpriced. The guards don't stand out with Ingram back. I'm just basically full fading the Pelicans. On the Miami Heat side, it could be pretty interesting here. Butler, Bam, and Dedmon are all questionable. If they're all out, Hero, Lowry look great. Duncan looks great. PJ Tucker looks good for value. And then, both Bam and Dedmon are out. I think it could be Omer GOAT 7 season. A guy made us a ton of money in the Summer League, unless they start Udonis Haslem, the ghost of Udonis Haslem. But, so that'd be interesting to see what they end up doing if Bam and Dedmon are out. Does Yurt 7 start? If he does, I think he makes for a good value, good point per minute guy. If, let's just say, Jimmy's out and Bam's in, then I obviously like, Bam, Lowry, Hero. So Miami, it's a little bit hard to say right now. But if a lot of guys who are questionable are out, there's definitely a good amount of a lot of interest in this team. Orlando and New York. So Jalen Suggs once again questionable if he can't go. Cole Anthony probably gets a little bit of a usage bump. It's not the best matchup here, but Cole Anthony's been their clear best player so far this season. So for tournaments, he's perfectly fine. The two bigs are more secondary options at their respective price points. They started Gary Harris last game, and he played 30 minutes. He's a low usage guy, but if he starts again, sure, you can play him. It's just he's not going to do a ton when he's on the court. We thought RJ Hampton would play more minutes. He actually played less, which was surprising with Jalen Suggs out. What are we doing with that rotation? If Gary Harris starts again, you can use him for salary relief, but he is super, super low usage. Moving on to the Knicks, 9.9K for Randall. Feels a little bit overpriced. He's been struggling of late. So I'm probably not going to go to Randall. The guard, everyone else on this team is always just no one else really stands out to me. Alec Burks at 4K. He's been continuing to play over 20 minutes. If we want to use him for tournaments, sure. If you want to take a shot at one of the guards, Kemba or Derrick Rose, that's fine as well. Nerlens Noel out. Mitchell Robinson, 3.8K. The minutes have been trending down on him, actually. Been trending up a little bit on Taj Gibson, only 3.5K. 25, 22, 29 minutes the last 3 games. So if you want to take a shot in a lower-owned Taj Gibson, I think there's worse plays. So I think he's viable. All right, Lakers and Bucks. So Westbrook, AD. I'm probably not getting to Westbrook. Anthony Davis is viable. Again, he got ejected last game. Such a BS ejection. Like, I watched that. I was like, are you serious, ref? Anthony Davis was trying to tie his shoe. The ref didn't stop it. And then he just tosses AD. Like, But yeah, 10.9K. I do think Anthony Davis is viable. I think he's a little bit overpriced, but definitely in play. Taylor Horton-Tucker, the price finally went up on him. He kind of smashed really in the garbage time, but I think he plays mid to high 20s minutes in a competitive game. He's only 4.8K, so still a solid play at that price point. Malik Monk at 4K. Minutes have been pretty secure for him recently, 29, 27, 27. As a scoring punch off the bench, I think he is firmly in play. And then Rajon Rondo at 3-4, 24, 20, 18 minutes. The minutes have been ticking up in him. I know he had a bad game last game, but he's a guy that can stuff a stat sheet, so I think he is also in play for salary relief. On the Bucks side, not a ton here because Middleton coming back, Jrue Holiday kind of overpriced. Giannis is now back too. He's at 12.5. It's just this team's getting healthy, and a lot of these guys are priced up from when Middleton was out, so there's really not much here for the Bucks that I like. Sacramento and Minnesota. So on the Sacramento side, Fox. We've seen some pretty big games from him recently. 3 of the last 4, 45-plus fantasy points. So at only 8.3K, I do think he's been played for tournaments. Like, is he finally starting to get it going again? So, yeah, I do have some interest there in Fox. Barnes is coming back down to earth finally, thankfully. Holmes at 6'7". They're going to need him out there against Cat, but, he's prone to foul trouble, so I don't know if I want to pay almost 7K for Sean Holmes. And then Halliburton at 5'9". The minutes have been pretty solid for him. 34, 35, 35 minutes. So if he's going to continue to play mid-30s minutes, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, I think Halliburton's a pretty safe play in the mid-range. Oh, and then Metu as well. So they've been starting Metu, played 32 minutes, played a little bit more in garbage time. But if he starts again, I like him for value. He's a good point-per-minute guy. I like the spot here. So, yeah, I'm perfectly fine going right back to Metu at only 3.8. Moving on to Minnesota. So we'll start with D'Angelo Russell, still only 7.3K. I know he didn't have the best shooting game last game, but the good thing is the minutes, right? The minutes are there for him in competitive games. He's playing 35 minutes, which is really good to see. Good matchup against the Kings. I like D'Lo at that price point. Ant-Man at 8.1K is a fair price point, unless, I play him and he goes for 14 fancy points. And then Karl Anthony Towns at 10.4K. He should be able to have his way here against Rashawn Holmes. So I think he's a solid spend up. He does have at times a low floor, but this is a spot where you would think Karl Anthony Towns should be able to smash. And then Patrick Beverley, I think, is a good value at 4.2. Played 34 minutes last game. I think in a competitive game he plays around 30. So I do think he's a pretty safe option. All right, Houston and OKC, the battle of probably the 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. So start with Christian Wood at the top at 7.7. I think recency bias might lower his ownership, but this is the spot, right? This is a good spot against Oklahoma City. You can go back, he can go for 50 plus, right? So price coming down. I think ownership might come down on him, but and there's been a bunch of blowouts too. In a competitive game, he's going to play 35 plus minutes. So I do like Christian Wood a good amount here at that price point. And keep an eye on KPJ. If he does play, I also like him. But he got a little bit banged up with the thighs, so monitor that one. If he can't go, we'll see how they do the starting lineup. Jayshawn Tate's fine for tournaments. Jalen Green at 4.8. Fine. Would look more interesting if Kevin Porter Jr. can't go. And then, I'll continue to mention Sengun because he continues to play 18 to 20 minutes off the bench, and he continues to basically get there. So I think he's a decent contrarian value option. On the Thunder side, so Shea at 8.7, it's a good matchup. But again, this is what I'm worried about, right? The assist numbers are down with Giddey in that lineup. So, right now, he's more of a GP-only play for me. And Giddey himself at 6.2, the minutes have been a little bit disappointing. 25 in a competitive game. A couple games he's pushing for 30. If I knew Josh Giddey was going to play 35 minutes, I would like him at this price point. But these minutes have been a little bit frustrating of late. So, right now, just a secondary option. Baisley's fine for tournaments at 5K. Does have a little bit of lower floor. Dort continues to play big minutes too. I think he's another relatively safe option. The only issue is he's pretty reliant on the scoring. And then James Robinson Earl 3.5K. If he starts at the center position again, I think he's a good value, but we'll see. Only if he starts the center position. 29 minutes, 26 minutes. and then I play him plays 22. Yet all the other starters come back in. So yeah, if Robinson Earl starts at the 5, I do think you can go there at only 3.5K. All right, Dallas and Phoenix. So this is a big one. No Luka Doncic. So we'll start with Kristaps Porzingis, who's played really well of late, 40, 47, and 56 fantasy points. Who is ready for chalk Kristaps Porzingis? Chalk Porzingis, that always goes well, right? But no, seriously, like he's going to get a little bit of a usage bump, obviously. It's not the best matchup, but he's going to play 30-plus minutes as long as he's out of foul troubles. He looks great. Brunson looks phenomenal here. He gets a massive, massive usage bump without Luka on the court. So really do like those two guys. I don't think it's a contrarian take. Don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on that. Hardaway Jr. is fine. Like he'll probably get some ownership. His role, like he's still scoring dependent, so he can still bust for you, but like he probably does get some more shots up. And then, it's gonna be interesting to see like who kind of gets the backup point guard role. It does go to Trey Burke, does go to Ntilikina. I don't know if I want to mess with it on this big of a slate. But yeah, really the main interest obviously there is Porzingis and Brunson. On the Phoenix side, Booker's always in play for tournaments. Chris Paul at 8.7K. More your cash game play. Booker more your tournament play. DeAndre Ayton, they said they're going to limit his minutes, and they played him 33 minutes last game. So just like, why are you lying? Why are you lying? But yeah, 33 minutes. If he plays 33 minutes again and only 6'2", I think Ayton's a pretty safe play. I do think he's a little bit too cheap, assuming there's no limitations. And then the wings, I'm just going to stay away from. Bridges and Crowder, they just stand in the corner. Finally, Chicago and Portland. So this one could be a fun late-night hammer. Chicago side, still no Vucevic. DeRozan, LaVine get a pretty big usage bump as well as Lonzo. I think both DeRozan and LaVine look good. They're on pace for a massive night last game, and then it was a blowout. They both lost a pretty decent amount of minutes, but both those guys look like good spend-ups. And then Lonzo had a big game last game. He's been a little bit more up and down, right? Like I play him, he shoots 2 of 11. 2 of 11 low ownership, 37 minutes, goes for 22 fantasy points for me. I fade him, 10 of 13, 53 fantasy points. So, yeah, the main 3 guys look good. And then assuming Caruso starts again, I like him for value. Played 39, 34 minutes. Yeah, he didn't really have a great game last game. He didn't have a real-life point, but he's still in for almost 20 fantasy points. So I think Caruso's a good value at that price. And then Kobe White, they limited him to 11 minutes. I'm not really going to mess with him unless until that price comes down and we see more minutes. And then, yeah, I'll mention Tony Bradley's 3-3. This is a bigger team against Portland with like Nurkic and Cody Zeller. So maybe we do get like 25 minutes of Tony Bradley. At that price point, I think he's a fair value play. And finally, Portland. So Damian Lillard is questionable. Monitor that one. That's pretty big. Can I just talk about CJ2 here? All right. I play him without Damian Lillard, 32 fantasy points. With Damian Lillard, 50 fantasy points. Does that make sense to anyone? I know that last game was a blowout, but just like, how? So yeah, if Damian Lillard can't go, then CJ and Simons look phenomenal. Simons would start and be one of the best values in the slate, and obviously TJ McCollum would look great as well. If Damian Lillard plays and he's no limitations, he's good to go. I like actually Dame at this price point. The minutes have been massive: 39, 38, 38, and 40 minutes for Dame. He's shooting the ball a little bit better of late. So yeah, if Dame plays, I like Dame. Nurkic at 6'4". God, the minutes, like only 18 there against Toronto. He wasn't in foul trouble either. Now, he's still productive, right? Even for 22 and 18 minutes. If he gets like 27, 28 minutes again, I think there's a good chance he can pay off the salary. But, man, they're playing him limited minutes, which is frustrating. Keep an eye on Norman Powell news, too. If Norman Powell can't go, Nasir Little becomes potential value. And then I think Larry Nance, he got a little bit extended last game. But 3.2K, I think there's probably other value I feel better about. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the video. If you have been enjoying the content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks again, guys. Really do appreciate all your support, and I will see you tomorrow in the live stream.